Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1485 of our daily content grind. Sundays are Zeztz episode review days here, though I probably am going to switch to a 2-episode format. One, because I know not a lot of you are watching these, that's fine, but also because I feel like I am artificially stretching these for the sake of making it to my usual video length, when we really don't have to. I can be far more concise about this if I really wanted to. So, because we are still in the early episodes where I have a lot more to examine on and pontificate about, I'll still be doing this episode as just on its own, but after this, it feels like enough of the story is going to be established to where we can just focus on all the stuff that's in each episode rather than major things that keep happening. But that said, let us go on with episode 5 of Kamen Rider Zeztz, and this one really focuses on kind of getting the group together. So Tsukasa and Natsuka actually do find headquarters, for a term that I forgot to look up beforehand. They find Zero's office is what they find, and in a very humorous manner, they literally just sneak into Baku's bedroom and somehow end up going through his closet. You know how you accidentally visit Narnia when you're going through someone's house, you know, that whole thing. Handling it very well, by the way, discovering that there's this enormous room that can't possibly exist in this house. They're handling it very, very well. I'm proud of our detectives for that. But we are establishing this as like an actual unit. There is a discussion about actually cooperating with what Baku is doing. There's a quick little discussion between Baku and Zero to actually decide, like, is this a good idea? And Zero's all for it. Just go ahead, be honest, tell him who you are. So Baku's admitting to be a secret agent. Natsuka is no belief in this whatsoever. Tetsuya believes everything immediately, which is kind of great. We're going to establish that dynamic here soon too. We are also establishing the fact that, yeah, the sister is probably going to stand as something of a roadblock character for a lot of this, either making these secretive situations a lot more tense by getting a little bit too close. Baku's trying to keep his identity from her. That way she's, I don't know, not fretting over him all the time over it. I get that. So we have this little like weird dynamic now where she's mostly just going to serve as something to cause comedic hijinks and or just be like this constant thing that has to be kept in the dark. Otherwise, our main hero's gonna hear nothing but that from now on. It's mostly just like a frustration role. And I'm not crazy about characters like that. Like I said, I was kind of worried that's what they were going to do with the sister. It looks like that's what it's going to be. So Minami is just going to just be there when the plot requires someone to just make things harder than they have to be. And hopefully she gets better. Hopefully this is just an early episode thing and it is not a series long thing. But for now, it is what it is. We've also established the dynamic between Natsuka and Tetsuya, or Tsukasa. Let's say Tetsuya. Tsukasa. Sorry about that. Or no. You'll excuse me. Hang on. I'm still trying to memorize the names. So my notes for it are a little bit too close together. I was right. Tetsuya and Natsuka. Apologies for reading too fast. Tsukasa is the director. Honore. No, for our two police officers, we've established their relationship as physically harmful. So this is what's going to happen. This is the running gag. Tetsuya is going to be super excited over everything that has to do with nightmares. Natsuka is going to basically commit attempted murder every single time to get him to knock it off. So she's there to be straight-faced of the two until it's time for slapstick. Basically how that's going to go. I don't mind that so much. Like, that's going to be fine. That's going to be fun. Tetsuya does need to be wrangled in every now and then. But the important thing here is they're actually on board for all of this. He doesn't admit that, oh yeah, he's a Kamen Rider, but Tetsuya is, aware and believes that he actually does enter dreams in order to stop nightmares. I can see where Natsuka is going to be forced to accept that this is what's going on, because it's just going to line up to be too many coincidences. At some point, you just have to admit the paranormal thing is happening, because the paranormal things keep happening around this situation. So eventually she'll come around. For now, she still seems a little bit skeptical, but she has definitely gotten a little bit better, and she is going along with everything Tetsuya is doing. So we have that. Also, Baku's getting more confident. And I don't just mean as a Kamen Rider, as Zeztz. No, in the real world, he is starting to find his confidence that he actually is this skilled secret agent. We saw in the previous episode that because of this lucid dreaming that he does, he has actually unintentionally trained himself to be a secret agent in the real world as well, which is kind of an interesting take on it. It's a little bit Matrix of them, but it does give us some excuse for why he is as intuitive as he is. And part of that comes to the fact that the fight that ended last episode, the only thing that really came of that is he did rescue the bride, returned her to the chapel, but when a scene shifted, he took a photo of it that survived to the real world. The photo was of this tree, which just happens to be on his sister's jogging route. So he does figure out this, and it's connected to an old story involving, excuse me, I can't remember the character episode names. I'll have to start jotting those down too. But our VIP bride here, the bride's childhood friend, the one that was holding a knife up and trying to stop the wedding in the previous episode. Apparently, said friend saved her when she fell out of this tree. Now, in this case, it meant, the boy fell in love with a girl, hence the awkward situations that have been going on around him. But it does lead to this suspicion that, the whole reason why she's having nightmares subconsciously is because she wants the wedding to be canceled because she's still in love with her original crush, her childhood crush. And that seemed a little bit too by the books. And this is where they are actually starting to give Baku a little bit of credit as a detective. Over this, like Tetsuya is just ready to just proclaim, okay, this is what's going on. She's still in love with her original, with her childhood friend. This is a wedding of convenience. She does not want the wedding to happen. That's why the nightmares are happening. Let's go round people up. Baku is the one that goes, something is off here. There's, we are not completely piecing this together. So one of the moments that they go back to when they're starting to flashback, and when he's starting to do the Detective Conan thing of putting everything together, he remembers that the bride did have one particular line that was out of place and didn't make much sense. She actually described this situation as, it'll be my first time. Weddings are typically something that you only are supposed to do once, pretty much, in an idealistic situation, everyone's first wedding is their only wedding. So it's a really weird thing to say, well, this is my first one. So that didn't fit. And now I like that the writing actually does put in lines like that where in the moment you can kind of pass it by. It sounds a little bit weird, but in a joking way I could believe it. And just she's being awkward, I would believe it. In this case, no. She wasn't talking about the wedding, and that's the part that Baku put together. So he ends up in the park by this tree in the dream world, which is where her subconscious door is, her mind door. And this is through the keyhole to her final door. That is an airport. See, the incident where she fell out of the tree is not just the part where she met her childhood friend and the first crush, etc. This is also where she gained a fear of heights. So she is terrified of getting on the plane. That's what she is that's where her subconscious is coming into play. Okay, so I like that we're going to have twists in like exactly what the fear is and what is causing the nightmare. Because while that does seem like a silly thing to like for a nightmare to prey on at first, phobias can be crippling. Even the ones who you do not personally understand can be devastating to somebody else. You know, what's going on in someone's head is entirely their own space, and it's entirely valid, right? Like, you can't really explain a phobia a lot of times, but you have to respect the phobia, you know, because it's not you. You can't just laugh and go, well, that's silly. Okay, you've been on an airplane 100 times. You know, you're super comfortable with this. She is not. I have flown with friends who are flying for the first time. It's terrifying for them. So I can absolutely believe that this is worth this. Now, Crow's already there. Crow is already attacking the plane, but this is dream space. So, you know, like you do in a dream where you just walk from one room to the other in your house and all of a sudden you're back at school. That kind of dreaming, yeah, that does make it a little bit easy to traverse the dream world. So we do start the fight again. And by the way, I am very happy that we actually get to see the Crow nightmare in full color, in broad daylight. You know, it really does beat what Bomb Nightmare did, where everything was in the shadows, and me trying to find a thumbnail for the episode, just not able to get a good look at the guy. I'm really happy that we got good looks of these monsters. But this is the silly one. The more I look at this monster, the sillier it's getting. You know, like, okay, so yes, it's supposed to be this Crow Man in a plague mask, a plague doctor mask. It looks like he's emerging from the mouth of a Labubu. And the more I look at this face, the more I just think he's a duck. This is starting to come across as duck to me. So I'm losing my interest in this design. Luckily, it's only a 2-episode design. We get to see something interesting here. So I really expected only the main 4 colored capsims to actually matter as far as like transforming and all that. No, he can transform with wing. I thought that would be a toy exclusive feature, that all the capsims have their own unique henshin. No, we're actually going to use that. That's kind of cool. In this case, yeah, it's still obviously Physicum Impact, but you know, we advance, right? You know, we get a little bit more. And from here, we need to talk about Stream. So, right off the bat, you know, the design makes me happy. I mean, we've got like kind of a teal color mixing in with a lot of the blue. Obviously, this writer is going to focus a lot on just color shift, and the only thing that's like physically different about him is just the pattern that is across the bodysuit. Now, in one way, that does make him a lot tamer than writer designs typically are, because he doesn't have any kind of armor to him whatsoever. But at the same time, you know, I can't argue with it. It looks good. You know, so if they want to do like an armor design, that comes in your super form, your mid-season, your ultimate, or wherever they want to throw it in. For now, I like that the base forms are keeping it very simple. It works for the character. And yeah, I am a fan of the overall look of the form. That said, it did demonstrate a lot of wind-based abilities, and a lot of interesting wind-based abilities. Not stuff you would normally get, like, you know, trapping his enemy in a cage made of wind. That's exceptionally specific. Now, it's the dream world, so you can get away with weird logic like that. But it does kind of make me think to myself, I really hope they do not forget elements of this power set. I don't want them to fall into the ghost trap where they set up what he can do with these forms and the natural powers he has, and then just forgets to use them. Like I don't want to end up in a situation where like, oh, it'd be really convenient if you tried that air cage again. If you tried that, why aren't you putting him in the air cage? Like, I don't want it to be like that situation, right? But it's cool to see. Oh, and hey, we got to see the weapon transform too. I do love a good transforming weapon. Also, like this shot of him riding in on the airplane as he's preparing to use his control of air currents to keep it from crashing. One of the harder shots I've ever seen in Kamen Rider, just casually riding on top of a plane. Kind of cool. They are letting this rider do some really cool things. And again, that's making me happy as someone who's happy to see this released in the US. It definitely feels like they're putting their best foot forward. So the wrap up at the end does include Tetsuya talking to the best friend, who is frankly being very mature about this situation. Like, he clearly is not happy that this is the outcome, but he accepts it. Looks like he's going to move on. So good, nice, mature character that could have easily had a villain arc to him. And it's a silly kind of like wrap up kind of thing. Congrats to Baku for completing his first mission that went very, very well. The nightmare did not escape the dream. Everyone went home happy, and our newlyweds are going on their honeymoon by driving. In a Mini Cooper, by the way. That was actually cool. As a Mini Cooper driver, it made me happy. So, at the end of the episode, we get another cryptic appearance from Nox. And this time he is talking about body, civilization, mind, and reality. And I looked this up to see if there's some kind of thing to this. Like, to see if there's like some kind of like philosophy behind this, or if this is like some like interpretation of like the existence of dreams, etc. No, this is his own babble as far as I can tell. I put those 4 terms into Google. I got a bunch of stuff that brings about some existentialism. So be careful. Don't do it yourself. Point being, it does look like there's an actual philosophy to it. And considering the runes in his book are glowing when he talks about them, I'm going to say that there might be something to it. But the interesting thing here is that he actually mentions that these things are doomed to I can't remember the word exactly he used. He's basically observing the atrophy of those 4 things. But he says that does not happen to him and Nem. So now we establish him and Nem having connection. Now, Nem barely played a part in this episode, but this does kind of confirm that, she is not just an aspect of a dream. She is another person who exists in this dreamscape, same as Nox, same as Zero. So why she is acting the way she is, we don't know. And it's probably going to be a while before Nox is in any position to explain why. That's probably just going to be the mystery that hangs over the first half or so of this series. But with that is episode 5 of Kamen Rider Zeztz. Again, exceptionally solid episode. And again, yeah, like this gets long-winded, as you can tell. I mean, I think I'd rather go beat to beat in like a full 2-episode story arc and, talk about it that way. So I'm going to switch it up. Next week, we won't be doing this on Sunday, but the following Sunday, we'll be talking episodes 6 and 7, so we can talk about the entirety of the story that they were telling. So, that is it for me. Thank you everyone for watching. I will see you next time. Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.